MycoWizards schools.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. With that being the case, welcome back to another MycoWizards Broadcast.
Welcome.
That's Eric Lohman.
That's Daniel Ashley.
And when last year, it was like 2 weeks ago, you went to a couple different mushroom festivals, right?
Yes.
The mushroom festivals weren't like a crazy thing. Like in the past, like I feel like it's been like a weird emergence lately.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it would be an interesting study to try and figure out because I just like those anthropological deep dives. But like, really, I can only say that Telluride has been going on for decades in Colorado. I'm sure most of you know what Telluride is.
What is?
Do you know what Telluride?
I know.
Telluride is a town in Colorado,
okay.
and it's up in the. It's beautiful. It's like the foothills. This beautiful, like classic Western straight town that goes into the mountains, and mostly in the time of year that it is at the height of mushroom, foraging season.
Yeah.
So most people go there to just like get fucked up in the woods or rent an Airbnb, and it's not a cheap thing to do anymore. It's like a Aspen for mushroom people. I mean, no shit. It's kind of lame, like in my opinion. I think that's why I boycotted it all these years. But the people who do go there and probably like live in buses and shit for the the week festival, because I think it is like a week. They're
short buses.
Yeah. No, it's wealthy, like punk buses or some shit.
Cool.
But there's all these marches and events and vendors and food. It's like it just takes over the whole town. It's massive. So, and it gets bigger every year. But that's been the only one. And I think that there's a council. It's a whole organization now. It's kind of exclusive. Yeah. And it seems as if there's been some drama mama inside of the lands of Telluride. But but after Telluride, I remember the first festival we were ever invited to was William Padilla. I think had sent an email to us. It was like, it'd be awesome if you could come down to this festival. There's no fucking way we could have come down there at that time. Yeah. This is like 2015, 16. I don't remember when he started that. Okay. If you don't know William Padilla Brown, you should know William Padilla Brown. But he started Myco Fest in Pennsylvania, and in all the time that has been going on, it's just been growing, I think. And we never made it down there in the beginning just because we didn't have the time. We're fucking farming.
Yeah. Have you been to Myco Fest at all?
No.
Because last year you did okay. You did the OP.
The OP Fungi Fest.
Was there another one?
Santa Cruz Mushroom Festival and the Northport one.
And then,
I feel like I've hit 4 of them up in 1 year, and that was enough for me to be
that was a lot.
Wow, this is intense. Like, a lot of people go to these things.
They go to them. They're like invested in it. There's a lot of like learning opportunities and like a lot of like vendor opportunities and a lot of like small people. Like KM was at the Santa Rosa.
Yeah, her and I gave a talk at the Santa Cruz Mushroom Festival, which was put on by Kyle Garoni and his family at Far West Fungi. Yeah. The OP, or Olympic Peninsula one, is put on by David Rogers from Maddie's Mushrooms. And
killer dude.
Oklahoma's put on by a kid named Jacob. He's not a kid. They got the energy of a kid, and he's like, his parents were there, which probably made us be like, oh, kid. Yeah. But Jacob Del Vecchio, and he put on the Oklahoma Mushroom Festival, which is fucking nuts to sort of see that. And then obviously the dudes at Northport put on their, you went to it, Mike, years ago. I forget the name of it. It was Mycology Outside, I think, or Mushrooms Outside, but it's at the Saco sort of ecology school. So there's everybody, like, and they don't have vendors. Santa Cruz had vendors. OP had vendors, and Oklahoma was primarily just vendors and talks, and less about an experience and more about like the intensity of talks and characters and booths.
What is that like for you being a mushroom farmer and living in your own world, as most people who are running their own business or just farmers in general, you don't go anywhere, you don't do anything except what you do. And then than to go to a place like a festival like that, and regardless if it's the Mycology Outside thing, or if it's like, you know, the big festivals where there's just a bunch of vendors and talks, right? And what is that like interacting with people who like are doing the same thing or doing similar things, or like, you know, what is that like?
Well, I think mostly a lot of the characters that are there. So there's an emergence of these festivals, right? And the emergence of the festivals coincided with these sort of popular characters like Alan Rockefeller or the dude that, what's the fucking cactus guy's name? Joey. I think it's Joey Santoro or Santoro. Yeah. All of these guys, there's plethoras of them that sort of have been in the sphere of education, kind of pull a crowd. Dennis Walker, you know, pulls a fucking crowd. Willie Myco was at the OK Fungi Fest, pulls a crowd. So that coincided with all of these kind of interesting characters and events, you know. Sorry. I don't have OCD. You have OCD. So this like there was like this collective decision that like, oh, we can get these guys out because they draw a crowd. If they draw a crowd, people will pay to come into the event. Yeah. So all the events you have to pay for a ticket to get in.
Sure.
Some of them largely rely upon vendors. It wasn't until the second go around that I kept getting asked to talk at some of these events, and that became like this very strange idea that people would even show up in the realm of, you know, what this stuff is. The OP Fungi Fest was the second one that I did a talk with Will Lockmere. Shout out to Will from Snow Valley Mushrooms. That was the largest turnout for any like live talking event that I've done. I mean, it was crazy. It was a lot of fucking people. Not even the sequestered, quiet Roger Rabbit one, which was pretty intentional the first year. If you knew, you knew. If you didn't, fuck off. But, you know, we got to hook up with homie from Tree Digs Mycology, who we get agar from. If you need fucking agar, you should go check, you know, him out. There's like these little enclaves and groups that are starting to gain popularity, similar to like the MycoWizards, right? And that's been amazing to see. But what is it like is very odd for people to come up to you and know a lot about you and just kind of hang around you, and you don't know anything about them.
Sure.
That makes it weird. So don't be fucking weird. Just come talk to me.
Fucking weird.
Just talk about mushrooms. I called some dude on Instagram the other night. I thought it was in my phone. I don't know. And he asked a question, so I just clicked the little phone icon. Anyways, I call him on Instagram, and he's like, Jesus Christ, are you calling me right now? And it took me a minute because I was like, this is a business transaction in my brain, you know? Like, oh, I'm just going to talk to a person who has a legitimate question. But when you put your voice and your face and your persona out there and all your ideas and your media, there's that dumb celebrity sort of status thing that does take over sometimes. And like, it's been my main mission to just like squelch that on the spot.
Squelch
the little weasel. Anyways.
Weasel. Oh. Anyway.
She fucks me.
But I think that's such an interesting perspective, given is like, I think that there's a clear divider between people who are like in the community and they're growing and trying to build something, and then somebody like you or Dennis Walker or somebody, you know, like who are
personalitized.
Yeah. You know, whether it's, you know, been your mission to do that or not.
Dennis has the height advantage. That fucking beastly bastard's like 8 feet tall, and he's like, hello to everybody, and you're like, you.
It's a strange thing when you walk into a space that you've been, you know, a part of or lived in the background of for so long, and then everybody who's kept up with what you're doing is now in one spot.
That's why I stopped talking about personal shit on the fucking podcast for the most part, because it was freaking me out when people knew about my personal life. And it's not that they like knew about it in an inappropriate way. It was just kind of like, what?
How do you take a face that you don't have a name to, or a face that you don't recognize, and then they're telling you stuff about the fact that like, oh, how's Maine? And he's like, how do you know I live in Maine?
Right. Well, I think the festival thing in general is a really cool emergence, and it shows that there's like a circuit that can be had for all of the like public figures, and they change. You know, I can't see like Alan Rockefeller continuing to do DNA classes for every festival across the United States year in, year out. Maybe, but I can see growing pretty fucking bored of that, you know. There are some cool people who've given cool talks. Phil's talk I heard about, but didn't get to see at the Santa Cruz Mushroom Festival because KM, Amanda, and I were on at the same time. But I heard it was like esoteric and awesome. Cool. And so I'm glad that podcast is, you know, I guess it'll be out there by the time you see this.
Probably.
Phil and I talking about the open phone.
Do you think it's a good thing?
The festivals?
The festivals, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's spreading like great concepts, characters, and ideas. The real question becomes like, who benefits from these things, and is it carried over in some public fashion? One of the, you know, the birth of these things really started with the Mushroom Summit that came out of the pandemic. And I think that was the thing. It was like this weird group of characters that I was on one of them. They randomly reached out and were like, we want to interview you for this thing. And the Mushroom Summit became this digital festival that was like online during COVID. So I was like outside because I had, you know, whatever, we're wearing masks inside, like a bunch of goofballs. And I like went outside to like take my mask off and talk in this digital sphere so a bunch of fucking people could, you know, see it online. And then it rolled for, I don't know, months or something, but you had to pay to get into it. So I thought that really was that. And Peter McCoy's Radical Mycology's Mushroom Film Festival started showing that there was like these extracurricular things outside of just cultivating mushrooms that were revealing that there's an actual like group of characters here.
Who are committed to doing it and, you know, doing the good work. The Lord's work. Yeah.
So I think it's just going to grow. You know, we've thought about putting one on here, and it's like a festival doesn't make sense to me. Maybe because I want to see it go on like constantly.
The moment you
festival all the time.
The moment that you put yourself in those positions, if you're not ready for it, it's the moment that, you know, you immediately hate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like MycoWizards.
Right, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
We're not bitter. What's coming of these broadcasts? We had this great idea this morning that why the fuck don't we just give stuff away? You can hear this on Buzzsprout. You can see it on YouTube, or you can head over to MycoWizards.com if you're a member there and see the entire thing. We are going to basically, for, you know, the foreseeable future, start giving stuff away on these broadcasts. If you are a member at MycoWizards.com, whether it be the lowest tier or the highest tier, we're going to start giving stuff away. We have a few of these lab rat flow hoods left, so we drew a name from a hat. And they're the Nomad Light flow hoods they're pretty bitchin', you know, and they work really well. Like I use them sporadically if I'm just at home, or if you find like a, you know, mushroom and you want to clone it real quick. They're just kind of cool to have around too. They're great for demos. So we figured we start giving those away. So we drew a name this morning, and that name is, do you remember?
Fuck no.
Oh my God, it's Benjamin Thibodeau.
Ben Tibby.
You fucking won a goddamn Canadian up there in the
Canucks.
Do you like maple syrup? Are your fingers sticky, Benjamin?
All right, here you go, Ben. Here's your flow hood.
Here's your flow hood. If you can imagine
Thanks,
it right
dude.
here betwixt the gun and the man himself.
Oh God. Thank you for being a MycoWizards subscriber. If you go to MycoWizards.com, you sign up for free for 30 days. Use code MycoTry at checkout for our deep dives. There's Liquid Culture Club. There's an Agar Culture Club.
Just a deep dive member.
Just deep dives. We cover everything from dehydration to sterilization to
de-dicharacterization.
De-dicharacterization. That was a fun video. Really pretty stuff, and we're doing a lot of amazing stuff. We want to keep doing that. So head on over and support. Check it out. I'm Eric Lohman.
And I'm Daniel Ashley. Good to see you.
Bye.
Later.
MycoWizards.com.